Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Don. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. I have with me here Don Wibier. He just had a talk on Developer Week about generics and abstract classes. That's not a brand new topic, but it was a full room there, and people are interested in these things. Do you guess why this is?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a technical evangelist with DevExpress, I talk with a lot of developers, and I notice everywhere that there are quite some developers that, they are using generic classes, but already implemented generic classes, basically, that is coming from the framework or whatsoever. But yeah, if you talk about them, are you using it by yourself for your own framework and stuff like that? Then there are some problems, or people tend to find it a bit difficult, specifically if you have to deal with like unknown things, basically generic things. There are a couple of things that you need to be aware of, and then you can put up some restrictions on generics and generic types. Which make life in the end simpler, but I mean, when you see it the first time, people tend to find it, difficult material, basically. Yeah.
Coming to the bottom line, could you summarize what is an abstract class?
Well, an abstract class is typically a class which is not finished yet. So it is typically something that you would use if you're setting up a framework and you know that you need some properties or methods in like a descendant of that class, and but at that stage you don't know what the behavior is. Mm-hmm. The example that I gave was a shape, and a shape typically has like an area. If you would have a rectangular shape, that would be calculated differently as if you would have like a circled shape or something. So in the base class you can use that, but you don't know how it's going to work out in the end.
And you put it together with generics in one session, so why did you put it together?
Well, it's actually one of my own favorite coding aspects, because what I also showed in the session, that in the end you can actually have a generic abstract class which is not finished yet, and it's also abstract, generic. And in the end, if you derive a new class from it, you'll see that the tooling that comes with Visual Studio and the whole infrastructure of .NET deals really nice with it, and you actually have like a partial implementation which is then strongly typed, for instance, instead of generic, which I think you can do some great things with.
And when I have a generic class, I put type information in it. Can I have kind of constraints that only special types I can put in it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is also exactly the point where I find that some developers have difficulties with. Like, constraints, and it reads kind of funny if you read a generic class which has a couple of constraints set on that.
That is with the where clause.
With the where, exactly, with the where. You can specify a number of keywords there, like it should only be a class, or it should not be a class, but like a primitive type. And then you can also put constraints on, for instance, that class should implement some interface, or it should be a descendant of another class. That could get quite a bunch of code by putting up the constraints, but later on you'll notice that it will save you typing and encoding, and you'll get like all the design time errors already immediately if you try to do something that doesn't work. So in the end it will save you hopefully debugging time later on in the stage.
Okay. And you mentioned that Visual Studio is the tooling around generics is very good in Visual Studio. Could you show us how it's good or what it does?
Well, yeah, obviously Visual Studio is using the infrastructure of the .NET framework, and that is obviously the same. I mean, you could actually have the same experience with Visual Studio Code as well, because that also uses the same infrastructure, which we actually use in our own tool, which is called CodeRush, our productivity tool, and that is built upon Roslyn. And Roslyn obviously, is used by Visual Studio as well as the runtime. So that is also why the tooling is so great, and that's also why it also uses the tooling is also great in Visual Studio Code. But I decided to go for the full Visual Studio. It's got a bit more features here and there.
Okay.
So.
Generics, abstract classes, they are not a new topic, but people not already know they still have problems with it. And I hope your session has explained to more people how they work. And I thank you for the interview. I have with me here Don Wibier from DevExpress at Developer Week 2019.